Check, check.
Is this episode 5?
What up, bitches? Yes.
Starting with that.
Sync up.
All right, boys. Episode 5.
What's up?
And we're back.
We are. It's
A little later, but
been a while.
And this is the last one until, like, what, the 10th, we figured? We'd do the next one, like, March 10th.
Yeah.
So you boys are in Myrtle Beach next week?
We are.
Yeah.
Leaving Tuesday?
Leaving Tuesday night. We're playing golf Wednesday through Sunday.
I'm a bit envious of that. I'm getting the itch to play golf.
Yeah.
It's getting closer.
I'm right. I'm taking like 18 clubs with me because I don't know what I'm.
I also heard you don't know how to pack.
That's a valid point. I'm all over the place.
I've been getting a text every other night from him. I don't know how many shirts to bring. I don't know how many socks to bring.
I told Russ.
This is how I pack.
I told Russ to send you a link to Amazon, just to Amazon, and let you figure it out from there.
I'm gonna bring like 18 pairs of underwear.
But we only have like
That might be necessary though.
Yeah,
so.
that might be. You shit yourself when you step on a gator.
Like James Harden.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like the cornhole league did exactly what we thought. Like I'm having a blast. I'm actually kind of sad it's ending in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It really has made the winter go by though. It's been nice. I felt like winter hasn't really dragged ass. I'm ready for a while to break. I'm ready to start playing golf and I can still play cornhole outside. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty pumped for that.
Yeah, cornhole will not be ending just because summer's here.
Yeah, hence the bags there.
Well, we said we were going to bring a few things to decorate the table with our personality. Looks like Adam brought a Diet Coke.
That is his personality. I have a couple things in mind that I'm preparing. I'm actually going to purchase.
Okay.
So
I like that.
I had a couple. I just forgot them. Been worried about packing.
Surprised you didn't bring a suitcase. Is
Yeah.
this everything going to fit in here?
We should have done that.
Yeah. So I'm envious of you guys. I'll be in Columbus, Ohio for the Arnold Classic.
Yep.
This is like my 6th or 7th year going, which seems crazy, but I'm definitely. This is probably like the worst shape I've ever been in to go to the Arnold, but it's still a good time. Maybe it'll give me a little kick in the ass, like you need to get your shit together.
Yeah.
Better have your shape than my shape.
It's just the worst shape I've ever been in, period. So,
But it's a good time out there in Columbus.
That's why Russ and I are going to Myrtle, not to Arnold.
I'm actually I'm curious what I'm going to run into this year because every year I feel like we run into somebody you don't expect, or you might know sometimes the sponsors of the convention center will list who's going to be there. I did read Johnny Damon's going to be there. Ooh. So Matt and I are going to try to see if we can find Johnny Damon and get a picture of him or something.
There you go.
That'd be cool. Well, I've ran into some pretty cool people out there in the past. I met Rumble Johnson, Uriah Faber out there. Met John Jones out there.
Yep.
The one thing, Hardcore Pawn. You guys ever watch that one in like Detroit?
A little bit, yeah.
The father-son were there one year walking around.
Yeah,
there's like 200,000 people, and Matt's like, dude, guys from Hardcore Pawn, like walking by us, and he walks up to the son, and he's like, where's your dad? He didn't even want a picture of the kid. He's like, hey, man, where's your dad? So, yeah, I'm pumped. And then, we're going to do it the 10th because I'm off to New York City for Allie's birthday for a weekend.
Yeah, sounds good.
So, week 2 of the NASCAR. And I didn't get a chance to watch any of the race. The actually weird part was we got a new remote for the TV, and I'm like, I'm going to watch the race. I turned on the TV. I must have like paused it when I was watching at some point, and I'm like, there's still like 200 laps left.
He needs instructions.
And then he sent us a text. He's like, hey, this is crazy on the radio. And then like one of you guys was like, oh, Adam won with Steinhaus. Did you have Steinhaus?
Yeah, Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Yeah, and I'm like, the race is over? Like I said, don't need to watch it. Yeah. I was like, oh, I must have paused it.
Yeah. So, yeah, they were in Las Vegas Motor Speedway last week. Joey Logano was the actual race winner, but among the names that we pulled, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Finished the highest, so that gives Polish kid here a win.
Give us $10.
That's $5 each. One of us had a 10, so we just got you a 10.
Oh, I'm going to frame this.
You shouldn't, because you're going to lose it at some point this weekend in Myrtle Beach.
You're going to be buying a sleeve of balls after you lose a couple dozen.
Yeah. You better hope they sell sleeves in like the 4th hole.
I think the beer carts down there sell sleeves. So
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Sleeves of what?
He's going to give him a credit card on the first tee. Sell see every 3 holes. Just run that. Oh, man. So, yeah, that's definitely been interesting to watch a little bit of racing.
Yeah.
Also last week, WGC Mexico. Now, this is a tournament that used to be played at Doral.
Yep.
And they moved it to Mexico. Tipping values went down. Goocher. But something I noticed here, I got some names for you guys. People who didn't play. Patrick Cantley, Jason Day, Tony Finau, Ricky Fowler, Brooks Koepka, Justin Rose, Henrik Stenson, and Tiger Woods all didn't play. And I remember a time when it was a WGC.
Everyone played.
Everybody played.
Yeah.
So do you guys think is it because it went to Mexico? I mean, travel's obviously not hard for these guys.
Right.
Or do you think it's a scheduling thing? I mean, they're playing the Honda this week. There's guys playing. And
I think since they moved the players up now it's like
it kills
I
at
forget
WGC.
what. Obviously, they're at PGA National this week. I think they're Bay Hill next week, maybe.
I think next week is Bay Hill.
And then the players, and I think Tiger already said he's not going to Bay Hill, which he didn't do last year.
Right.
Repeat of the Masters, maybe.
Possibly.
So I think with these schedules so crunched up now, I think it's hard for these guys to figure out where they want to go, what they want to play. And obviously it's still early in the year.
Yeah.
Obviously they're golfing all year round, but it's still early in the year, and they've got to wait to get ramped up for 4 majors in 2 months.
That's a good chunk of
3
guys
months.
just like, I'm not going to WGC.
Yeah, like you said, the players being moved up and the PGA Championship has been moved up over last year, right?
Yeah.
It was moved up last year. So, yeah, the first half of the year, the schedule is much more compact.
And obviously with the Ryder Cup again this year,
Yep.
the Olympics. And speaking of the Olympics, here's my headline for you guys this week.
Are we doing that now?
We're going to drop this one now.
Oh, boy.
Dick Pound drops the hammer.
Dick Pound? Is this a cooking joke?
I have no idea what this is. Dick Pound drops the hammer.
One of the heads of the Olympic Committee, who's actually founder of the doping agency for the Olympics, his name is Richard Pound.
Okay, of course it is.
So
His parents knew what they were doing.
There's a lot of articles that said Dick Pound dropped the hammer. And that's it.
I mean, if you're a journalist, that's like an easy headline.
That's how you get clicks. Yeah.
My buddy said, do you think his dad? He's like, I'll slide that by my wife, Richard Pound. She won't know the difference.
My guess is he lost a big poker game, and instead of paying out, his buddy's got to name his kid. That's what could happen there.
So I want to drop that quick just because the Olympic reference.
So what's the substance behind the?
So there's obviously he's the one that started the investigation with the Russia doping. Obviously it came up again this week because of potential of postponing the Olympics because of coronavirus and everything else.
I don't think they should postpone it. I think they should take it away from Japan.
That's
serious.
You think they can move it that quick though?
London says they can take it.
Oh really?
Yep. London said they have the logistics and everything in place. All you got to do is say you can have it.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting what happens because a lot of those athletes. I don't know if they're in China, Japan right now. Obviously, those big ones. I think Italy's got a huge case of stuff right now. I don't know, like if those athletes are in the country. I don't think there's any way they allow them to go. So I think it'll be interesting what happens.
Someone
Obviously,
said-
we're only 4 or 5 months away.
Yeah, it's July,
So-
and I heard in Japan, like the baseball teams, they're playing games with empty stadiums just to play the games. They're not allowing people in Japan.
Wow.
So it's crazy how that's the whole coronavirus thing. I mean, obviously I deal with Korea at work and India, and for a couple weeks, Korea tried to hide it, even though there was no how you swiveling. It's this little knob right
Well,
here.
I raised it up, and I don't know if I broke something.
No, you didn't.
It seems
Korea's
check.
kind of hide it, and it's like you can't hide it.
Right.
And then they finally admitted the other day, like, oh yeah, we shut down our office in that town, and everyone's working from home.
yeah.
And it's just Japan's the same way. They're trying to hide it. It's like, no, you have a problem,
Right.
and I'm sorry. And in order to rectify that problem at this point, you got to make a drastic change. If that means telling them now, sorry,
Yep.
you don't have the Olympics. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
I don't care whose feelings get hurt. So,
Yeah.
all right, boys, back to golf. Unless you have more about Dick Pound,
I don't.
which, by the way, if you want to get into the Russia doping,
Oh,
watch Icarus
great
on
documentary.
Netflix. That is crazy. Watch Icarus and then watch the 2-hour podcast from the guy who originally wrote the documentary. He was on Joe Rogan.
All right.
He think it was awesome. So Patrick won which I really don't care about. And it's one of those things where like nobody likes the guy. Guy's on tour.
They don't.
He wins, and like the lust of a tournament just goes away. No one talks about it.
Yeah.
They talk about the next day, like, hey, yeah, Patrick, what? And then they're on to the next thing. Like no one cares.
Yeah.
But one guy who finished T3, who we mentioned last time, who I personally think is extremely overrated, and there was chatter that if he won, he'd be the number one player in the world, is John Rahm. Do you think John Rahm is the number one player in the world, even if he won last week?
No, I don't. Go ahead.
I mean, just kind of I'll let him go, but yeah, I tried to look up the calculations for Golf World Ranking, and it's a crazy calculation they have going on.
Yeah.
So it's hard to like say what's because obviously he has played well.
Yeah.
He's been playing well for the past couple of years, but to me that doesn't just because you played well for 30 events doesn't make you number one in the world.
He also just turned pro.
Right, and if he had won, if he's played, I forget how many events. It's like 49 events according to the Golf World Rankings, whatever they go back to.
Ross might have broke something.
But I mean, if you go back to that, if he had won half of those, then okay, yeah, you're good. Like you're deserving of it. But
yeah. So he only has 3 wins on the PGA Tour.
Yep.
1 per year in 17, 18, and 19. Last year, 20 starts, made the cut 18 times, had the 1 win I mentioned. He did have 12 top 10s. He's not a bad golfer at all.
Right.
Did you look up his European wins?
Yeah. So that's where I was going to go. Like you, I looked up the calculation for
6.
how World Golf Rankings are actually calculated, and it takes into account like basically every tour in the world.
I think I read last year was 23 different tours.
Yeah.
The year before was like 20 tours.
Which I didn't many tours?
I didn't even know there was that many tours.
Yeah. Jeez. So somehow they take the number of events you played and the number of points you've accumulated in those events, and each event has a different potential point value based on what tour it's on and what players are in the field. So
carries weight.
Yeah. So if more of the top 100 players in the world go play in it, you could get more points if you won versus if you won the same tournament and nobody else was in it.
Yeah,
right.
And I think they said WGC and majors are all static. They are the same number of points no matter who's playing.
Because of the WGC and because of the major.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the 2 major tours that factor into these calculations are the PGA Tour, obviously, and then the European Tour. So if you look at the European Tour last year, 2019, John Rahm made 13 starts there, made the cut 11 times, had 3 wins and 8 top 10s just last year. And a couple of those events, I know 2 of them that he won. One of them, Tommy Fleetwood, was the runner-up.
Yep.
And one of the other ones, Rafa Cabrera-Bello, was the runner-up.
Right.
So there were at least decent other players he was playing against. I believe that stat line from the European Tour is the reason he's so high in the ranking.
Yeah.
I think so too. And no knock on the European Tour. I mean, Rory himself came out and said it. Fields are weaker in Europe.
Yeah.
If you want to play and make your name known and be successful, you got to play over here.
Yeah, no, the only reason those guys play in the European Tour is to try to make the Ryder Cup.
That's a big truth. Who was the guy?
And they can make money real quick.
Yeah, they can make money real quick. They can get status.
Because I think John Rahm last year made like $4 million on the PGA Tour, and he also made like 6 or 7 on the European Tour. So he goes over there against some of these weekend fields, and he actually made more money there than he did on the PGA Tour.
Who was the guy that played last week? He finished in the top 5. They said he wore the joggers. I'm like, those pants are terrible.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
Van Roon?
Yes.
Van Ryn?
Van Roon, he lives over here.
Right.
He said he bought a house. They live in like Florida or something, and it's like he wants to play over here.
South Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's an example right there. Like he's over here already, but he's going to go play in Europe because he's boosting his stats and his world ranking.
I personally, and I'm sure you guys probably feel the same way. For me, the PGA Tour is the equivalent of the best league in the world, and everything else is, I equate it to like a minor league for another sport.
I agree.
So getting 3 wins on the European Tour, making $6-7 million is obviously impressive, but it's not the same as doing it on the PGA Tour.
I 100% agree. If there's 23 tours, by the way, I got to be good enough to play on one of them.
And I think Rahm total points he's like 30 behind Rory right now for number 1, but average wise, because it goes off the average points in your events, he's only 0.8 behind because he's played in more events and he's got more points.
Right.
So
I did some digging as well, and I actually looked up the history of the number one rankings. Number one ranking system came into effect in 1986. There's been 25 players who've been ranked number one, meaning, Tiger had it for a long time.
Yeah.
Spieth and Rory flip-flop for a little while. So in total, there's been 25 different players. Only 2 of those players have been ranked number one and not won a major, which Rahm does not have. That would be Luke Donald and Lee Westwood in 2012 for Luke and 2011 for Lee Westwood. So if you put Rahm at number one, you're telling me he's as successful, those 2 players, and I'm going to tell you no.
Right.
I'll start there.
Yeah.
So Rahm turned pro, and like you said, he turned pro in 16, 3 wins. His win last year was a team event. He won it with Ryan Palmer at the Zurich. So it's not like Rahm went out and beat the field.
Yeah. Yep.
So he's really only got, in my opinion, he's got 2 wins.
And Palmer's a very solid player.
Palmer had a great year
He's
last
obviously not a star, but he's a solid player.
And of those 2 names you just mentioned, Donald and Westwood, there was a time where Westwood, probably back in that time frame, he was kind of the butt of many jokes, but it seemed like every major for like 3 years, he couldn't win, but he came in the top 5.
Yeah.
I mean, he must have had 8 out of 12 majors over that 3-year span where he came in the top 5. And to me, that should hold more weight than winning.
Didn't Phil nip him at Augusta one year? Like, looked like.
And you think about how many. Look at that time, Tiger was just winning. I mean, it's hard to.
Yeah.
There's no one that dominant anymore. So.
Yeah, and then I have in the majors he had 1/3. It was the U.S. Open last year. He's had 3 top 5s, 4 top 10s, and 6 top 25s. Which I'll give him credit. That's good. Those are great showings in the majors. But you've been on tour for 3 years, 4, we'll call it, and you still have not. I mean, one of your wins is a team event, which still a tour event. I get it, but at the same time, like these stats alone, numbers wise, to me, you're not the number one player in the world. And honestly, I might put you in the top 10, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe just because of the consistency over the last 3 years.
That's what I was trying to debate with myself. I think I'd not checking stats. I think he would probably be a top 10 player.
I think, like you said, I try to calculate, points and something like that. I think the system's flawed. Yeah. I think this exposes the system. Like Rahm is not a top player. He's not the top player in the world. He's not. You're telling me right now that if John Rahm's the number one player in the world, that he's better than Koepka, Rory, Dustin Johnson, and Justin Thomas? No. Nope, not a chance.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. It's not even close. And there's probably a few others I'd put ahead of him in that list.
And that's so one thing I wrote down was the number of events some of the bigger names have played in. So Rahm has played 49 events, which is how that's his. I didn't know what his total was. 525 points divided by the 49.
Right.
So Rory's played in 48. Brooks has only played in 43 events in that time frame, and Tiger played in 40. So obviously their averages are going to be a little skewed because you're not playing as many events.
Right. Yes.
But they aren't as far behind in points. So
I looked up something similar to that, and I compared to Rory, who's currently number one. From 2017 to 19, Rory had 51 starts and made $15 million. Rahm's had 63 starts and only made $14 million. So you're telling me John Rahm's a better player in the last 2 years than Rory? I'm going to tell you to go play in traffic.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think the consensus from my part is the calculation for world number one or the world rankings is flawed.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yep.
Yeah, and John Rahm he's a good golfer. He's an asshole, but he's not the number one player in the world.
He's probably got that. Russ has got that written in big letters too.
I don't actually.
just underline.
Underlined 3 times.
But I would put some of these guys who didn't play last week ahead of him. The Koepkas, the Fowlers, Finau, and even most recently Patrick Cantlay.
I mean, if you look at those numbers I just read off, that he has the 3 wins, 1 per year, the last 3 years. Koepka's got more majors than that in that time frame.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
Koepka's got more majors than this guy's got wins in his career.
Yeah.
And you're punishing Brooks because he's been hurt.
Yeah. And you're telling me that Rahm should be the number one. Not a chance. Well, it's something else we're all on the same page for.
Yeah, a lot of our debates have been on the same side.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
And if we could factor in his ability to close a tournament when he's in the lead, like he was near the top this last week, can't close.
That would be an interesting fact to be able to put into these rankings. How many tournaments you're leading after 2 or 3 rounds, and
you can't close.
Win. Yeah.
He was way behind day 1, and then I think he shot 9 under day 2, which put him back up near the top, which was big. But
And he's a toddler when it starts going south for him. He has no way to like turn it around.
Yeah, when it goes south, it's those 9 inches between his ears.
Yeah, you got to learn to control it. You got to let it go, and he can't. I don't know. Some say it's his culture, the Spaniard culture, like Sergio, but
they keep calling him the fiery Spaniard, but at some point it's just immaturity.
Yeah, I think in this case it's immaturity.
Yeah, because I think Sergio was similar to that. So it'd be interesting if he turns that around. And obviously Sergio's not as bad now. I mean, he's still got some in him, but
I don't know. He tore apart a bunker last year and threw a driver into the weeds.
Yeah.
But with Rom, I feel like it's every week.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is. He goes out and he freewheels it. He's up at the top, and then he's like a ping staff bag without the legs. Just folds. Just can't close. So, nice. But we can stay on golf. This is not really a golf podcast, but we can. We talked about a few weeks ago the Premier Golf League. Mm-hmm. We all kind of said that we didn't think it had any traction. It was going to hold any worth. And then Rory came out and just basically said, "I'm out. The more I think about it, I don't like it."
Yep.
And I mean, Rory. I think Rory is kind of thinking along the same lines as us. Is like you said, the PGA Tour is the PGA Tour. Yep. It's the top notch. So you're going to try to compete with that. You're going to cut your throat when it comes to trying to play on tour. Yep. And then, of course, Koepka. I don't know how I feel about Koepka. I have times like, he's not a bad guy.
Yeah.
And then he comes out like a frat boy and says something stupid like, I'm going to go play with the best players. Or I'm not ruling it out. It's like, shut up, dude. Go play for the PGL. And then when the tour tells you, like, oh, by the way, you don't qualify for these majors anymore.
Yeah.
Because you're no longer a PGA Tour member.
You tell me he's not going crazy when he wins those majors.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't know if you looked up I think the Rory quote that stuck out to me was that he values legacy over financial gain. Obviously, these guys make a ton of money, sponsorships, everything else. They don't, just because you're going to say, hey, there's a certain amount of money every week in this tournament.
Right.
That's not going to persuade them anything.
To me, that well runs dry too.
And do sponsors, if I go over to the Premier Golf, do they say, hey, no one's really going to be watching. I don't.
Exactly.
I'm not going to get. Obviously, they have their contracts, but once that goes out, are they going to get another big contract?
Yeah, I would think the sponsors would be hesitant to throw as much money at them as they do now.
And they may get like a big club sponsor, like Titleist or TaylorMade or whatever, but I don't think they're going to get all those smaller ones that you see all over their bags. And
every tour event has a sponsor.
Right.
So you're telling, basically, right, the way I read it right now, this PGL, their sponsor is some dude with a lot of money.
Right.
I'm going to throw up. That well's going to run dry. I'm sorry. And you're going to have sponsors who are not going to give you money in the PGL because the tour is going to come out. This is competition for the tour. Somebody smart from the tour is going to come out and say, okay, go play the PGL. You're going to have to Monday qualify if you want to play in our events. You're no longer a member of our tour because you went and played in it. And sponsors, they're going to get more visibility from the PGA Tour. I don't care if Rory or Koepka is playing the PGL. It's not going to hold any substance, and they're not going to. The money's not going to be there.
You're going to have to get 20 of the top guys. You can't get one or two.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not going to qualify you. Oh, I finished top of the money list in the PGL. I'm going to get in the Masters next year.
And I think we've talked about before. These guys are all friends.
Yeah.
You think they would much rather be hanging out with their friends, during the week than with 30 guys over wherever they're going to be playing.
Yeah.
I'd have more interest if all of them threw in $500,000 each and had a tournament once a year with their own money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And get 40 of those guys.
Yep. Yeah, and Rory talked about the schedule autonomy. So right now on the PGA Tour, you have to play in a certain number of events, but you can essentially pick and choose which events you want to play in. He actually referenced WGC Mexico last week. Like that list of guys you said that weren't there, they chose that. And it sounds like if you go to the PGL, they tell you when you are playing. You don't have the option. There's a set schedule, and you have to stick to that. So you no longer have your.
It's a limited schedule too. It'd be like a chunk out of the middle of the season.
And I think a lot of these guys base a lot of stuff off how they feel. I mean, if you're playing well 2 weeks in a row, over there you might not play again the next week or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
If you're feeling well, you may want to play again.
Yeah.
And you can do that on the PGA Tour. You can't do that if they're telling you when to play.
Yeah, to me, you can't start up a new tour and say, the money's there, but there's still money there in the PGA Tour.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and even the opposite way, if you're not, if you're like, hey, I'm not playing well, I'm going to take 3 weeks off.
Right.
You know, you can do that now.
Yeah. So a couple other names I'm sure a lot of people have spoken of, but Bubba Watson and Xander Schauffele stuck out to me. They also shot it down, said they had basically no interest.
I didn't see that.
So you've already got multiple guys in the top 10, top 25 of the world rankings that are saying they have no interest in this.
Bob was pretty vocal.
Yeah. His quote, I don't have it written down, but it was short and to the point. It was like, I already play on the best tour in the world. Why would I go play that?
That's why I love Bubba.
It was something like that. So
just pretty black and white, man. That's why I like Bubba.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was. I don't think it has any traction. Honestly, at this point, I hope they just fall on their face.
Yeah.
Hope the whole thing falls through. It's to me, it's like an ego thing. Like I got money. I'm gonna start my own golf tour.
Yeah.
Stop it.
It's interesting right now with you got the PGL, you got the XFL football league starting up. It just seems like there's a whole lot of people that want to create the next best thing, but
I think
they're kind of copying something that's already out
there. Yeah, they are. The only thing I will say about the XFL is I feel like they're not really trying to compete with the NFL. Like where the PGL would be run at the same time as PGA Tour.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So the only thing I do like about the XFL is that, like I said, they give them a platform for these guys to showcase their skills.
Yeah.
So I'll give them that. But like I feel like they're not trying to compete in the NFL.
I know we mentioned it with the XFL. Just quick comment. I think I saw yesterday on ESPN because obviously they have their sponsorship with DraftKings.
Yeah.
I think on the bottom, I forget who it was, maybe New York, and I forget who they were playing. It said at the bottom, entered game as 12.5-point favorite. You wouldn't see that on the bottom of anything else.
No.
Right. Yeah.
And we don't live where they do the live betting, but I'm curious what that's like if you have the app and you can live bet on games. That'd be probably a lot of fun. Yeah. I mean, I watch you run around the casino live bet, so that's fun too. By the way, how's your back today?
My back?
Yeah,
it's all right.
Well, I'm just carrying that big sack out of the casino yesterday.
My wallet. Yeah.
Load that thing up.
Oh man.
So the Polish kid over there, he wants to talk about college basketball.
Okay.
And as much as I didn't, let me preface this.
Okay.
Normally I follow college basketball enough to make some educated guesses and know what's going on come March Madness.
Okay.
And then when he brought this up that we should talk about it, I realized I haven't really followed it as much, but I've watched more than I thought because the games are on at night when I'm going to bed. I'm watching the games.
Okay.
So let's talk college basketball. Start us out over there. I want to hear it.
All right. So this season has been absolutely crazy.
Define crazy.
It seems like teams become number one, and then they lose the next week. Teams are jumbled up. There's a lot of, they call it the Power Five. I think in basketball there's 6 conferences that stand out. There's a lot of non-6 conference teams in the top 25. 2 that really stick out, and they've been near the top all year, and I think they're strong enough to make deep runs, are San Diego State.
Don't say it.
And Dayton.
You said it. Go on.
I can't wait to hear this. I think San Diego State is, now I guess if we throw Gonzaga in there, I think Gonzaga is definitely one of the top 3 or 4 top teams in the country right now. My overall opinion is Kansas is still the top team.
Are they going to have a full roster for the tournament?
I think so. I think they're
because the kid got 12 games, right?
Yeah, and I don't think he played too much. So Azubuike's obviously their big guy that's been playing really well all year.
Azubuike.
Okay. So there's
French.
A couple of these conferences are going to be crazy. Obviously, most teams have 2 games left this week, one during the week, and then next weekend's the final of the regular season before they get conference tournaments. The ACC is very tight right now at the top. The Big Ten is very tight. The Pac-12 is very tight. There is potential that ACC could end in a 4-team tie.
Then what?
And somebody tried to lay it out, and I was confused reading it.
Does it go off like head-to-head?
It goes off head-to-heads, and a lot of these teams play twice. Some of the teams play twice throughout the year. Some have only played 1 time. So as of right now, Florida State and Louisville are tied at the top, and then UVA and Duke are 3rd and 4th, and that's Duke's 4th because UVA beat them yesterday. The Big Ten, there are 4 teams within a game of each other, which got crazier last night because Michigan State defeated Maryland.
I saw that.
And then the Pac-12 has 4 teams within a game of each other as well. And their top team, UCLA, nobody's really talked about all year, but somehow they're still sitting at the top of Pac-12. I don't know how they're going to end up in the tournament. And I think a lot of these conferences, I think the Big Ten will ultimately get the most teams in. I think they're top to bottom, probably the best conference this year.
It's funny you say that because I was just going to ask you, do you think, in your opinion, because I think it is this way, do you have schools that they're football schools and you have schools that are basketball schools? UNC is one of them.
Yep.
They're usually asked when it comes to football, and they're a basketball school.
Yep.
So do you hear you say the Big Ten is going to have all these teams? To me, a lot of those schools are more like football schools. They're not basketball schools.
Yeah. And I think the Big Ten has been one of the top conferences, along with the ACC. Obviously, ACC is down this year, but
yeah,
the Big Ten and the ACC have been the top conferences probably the last 6-7 years. Big 12 hangs in there. SEC is up and down usually. In the Pac-12, I think last year they got one team in, maybe two. So they tend to struggle a little bit.
Depends on what kind of teams. I feel like UCLA throws out there, or like an Oregon or something like that.
Yeah, so I think it'll be really interesting this final week. So just overall, I think the ACC gets 5 teams in. I think their top 4 are in, but I don't think one of the top 4 wins the conference tournament. Just the way this season's been, I think a non-top 4 in that conference wins it, so they get 5 in. I say the Big Ten gets 8 in. I've seen all the way up to 10 teams in, which is crazy. I think it's only happened a couple times that conference has got that many in. Big 12, I say 5 or 6. It's tough to tell where people are feeling. Teams are on the bubble right now. SEC, I see 5. Obviously, they're very top-heavy, UK or Kentucky and Auburn.
Right.
Pac-12, 6 or 7. I think they've got a bunch of solid teams. Obviously, probably 2 or 3 of them are on the bubble right now. And then the Big East, I think, will get 6 in. The Big East has made, obviously, they went away when Syracuse and everybody left. They've kind of made a comeback now. Seton Hall, Creighton, Nova. So those teams are kind of making a comeback. But
are you going away for the March Madness this year?
I am.
Where are you going?
Going to my buddy's house in Rochester.
Oh.
We get together every year.
I was going to see if you want to go to the casino. Russ and I talked about it yesterday.
Oh, I'm going to the casino. Del Lago, though.
Oh, okay. We can still go to the casino.
Not a bad drive at all.
You got a valid point.
We'll be there Friday and Sunday.
We could probably do Friday.
Friday and Sunday.
We could probably do like a half-day Friday or something like that. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we can talk.
I would need some betting input. As you can probably tell by my silence, I don't know
But I was just going to ask
anything about college basketball.
But I do want to hear. I want to hear what you have to say because we were there yesterday, cashed in our tickets, and we watched some college basketball.
Yeah, so we were at the casino yesterday, as you just mentioned. We hung out maybe 45 minutes. You put in a small parlay on a couple college basketball teams, so they were on the screen. We were watching them.
Nova.
It's the most. Those 45 minutes are the most college basketball I've watched in the last 3 years combined.
But he loves March Madness squares. Let me tell you.
I do.
Who doesn't?
I like squares because I don't have to know shit about it, so I don't have to pick
Someone
teams.
just pays you.
The one thing that was, 2 things did stick out to me while we were there. We were watching, was it Villanova?
Villanova was playing Providence at Villanova.
That game was on, and it was probably a good 15 minutes we were sitting there that the friggin' score did not change. It was 29-39 for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
We weren't really watching that game, so I don't know why. If they were missing shots, if they were doing what. And then you had a bet on Penn State against Iowa.
Yep. 2 football schools.
Yep. Iowa pulled away, unfortunately.
Yep.
Penn State must have missed 105 layups.
They went the first almost 6 minutes without a field goal. Or the second half.
Yeah. The amount of shots easy open shots that they missed was incredible. And then there was the one guy standing at the top of the arc. There wasn't anybody within 15 feet of him. And he double pumped, didn't take the 3, and chose to pass it off to some guy that was not open.
And then got mad when they didn't pass it back to him.
Yeah.
So that always interests me now because obviously NBA teams have 12 to 15 guys on a roster.
Yeah.
So you look at all these college players and you're like, hey, some of these guys are pretty good. Some of them might not even make an NBA roster because you're going from 300 teams in college basketball to 30 teams in the NBA.
It's funny you say that because one of the examples I had yesterday was the Garza kid from Iowa. He's a big kid, and he's good, decent. He's decent, okay?
They think he might be the player of the year.
That kid is knocking him out to shit in the NBA. I put it down right now.
Right.
He runs flat-footed. He's not athletic at all.
Yeah.
He's very just.
That's what, and you see that a lot.
It's like a tight end.
Of college guys that win Player of the Year are up there, and they're guys that have been really good college players.
Yeah.
Tyler Hansbrough, the one that comes to mind, obviously being a Carolina fan.
Morrison.
They're really good college players, and then they have a couple good years in the pros.
Ed Cota.
Yeah. But a lot of NBA teams now just draft on talent. Hey, what can you give me in 3 years? I don't care. If we think you have talent right now, okay, we'll draft you and let you sit for a couple of years.
I mean, the only reason Penn State didn't have a kid that big on the floor is because he's on the football team.
Right.
Okay, let's just be honest. I mean, the kid was not very fluid in his motion. He just kind of muscled and bullied his way to the rim.
Yeah.
I have opinions on this. I did more digging into this than I thought I was going to, but once I got going last night, I'm like, oh, man, college basketball pisses me off. So, like I said at the beginning, I usually watch enough of college basketball to know what's going on, follow the good teams, the good players. To me, even if you don't follow it a lot, there's always somebody, if you follow sports at all, there's always a player or two in college that catches everybody. Oh yeah, I've heard of that guy.
Right.
I can't think of anybody in college right now that if I mention their name, everybody in a room of 20 be like, oh yeah, I know he plays for this team. We don't have that this year, in my opinion. No, we don't.
Yeah. No, there's a bunch of really talented guys, but
there's nobody that standouts.
No Zion or anybody like that.
Exactly. Zion was a standout. So my opinion of this is, first and foremost, the quality of college basketball this year is ass compared to other years. I really do. I think it is. It's complete ass. We don't have the talent levels in college right now. I think we had a lot of players this year who decided, I'm not going to college. I'm going to go to the NBA, so I'm not going to go play 1 year. I'm going to sit out a year and just go to the NBA when I'm eligible. And they're going to work out. They go to these facilities. They train. I wrote down a guy's name. Who's the kid? Baisley, kid that skipped out on Syracuse.
Shout out Silky. How you like that?
He did a $1 million internship
at New Balance.
$1 million
internship?
Yep. Tough one, huh?
My God.
Probably got coffee for $1 million.
Yeah.
Can you grab my copies off the copier? Yeah, I'll be right back.
He committed to Syracuse and then decommitted. Did an internship
for $1 million.
New Balance.
He had some other sponsorship. I can't remember. It was like a clothing company.
And he is playing. Well, he's in the NBA right now.
He was number 23 overall pick.
Yeah.
So I think
all on talent.
The guys are like, screw this. I'm not going to go to college. And I think that's impacting it. And I do believe they're getting rid of the one and done rule again.
So there's been a lot of talk of that. And obviously, I was watching Carolina Syracuse obviously yesterday, and one thing the announcer was talking about is the ACC has a ton of very good freshmen, and if they were to stick around, that conference would be really good soon. But a lot of them are not. Cole Anthony from Carolina, he's probably going to be a top 5 pick.
I don't think he should be.
Yeah, he's pretty talented.
Pretty talented on a really shitty team.
Yeah.
Roy Williams said this is the worst talented team he's ever had.
Yes. Yeah, they are definitely having a tough year, but injuries have killed them all year.
But if he was that talented, in college, you could have a player who was extremely talented and carry a team.
Not through certain conferences, I don't think.
Carmelo Anthony did it.
He had a lot of talent around him. Warwick.
Where's Warwick right now?
Well, Carmelo's. I mean, those guys were again
great college players.
Great college players. So,
but Melo carried that team.
Yeah, he did, and that's what you usually see with a national championship team. One guy kind of carries them, but I don't think with just one talented guy you can make it through a season.
But then some other things I wrote down, like you brought up Dayton. They're 4th in the country right now. And they've played 2 ranked teams. They played Kansas and they played Colorado, who's ranked 21st in the country. They lost both those games. They didn't beat a ranked team. They're ranked 4th in the country right now.
John Rahm.
Yeah, seriously. The John Rahm of college basketball is ranked 4th in the country now.
They'll definitely be a second weekend team. They'll get the Sweet 16.
They're going to get smoked by a legit team. They don't play anybody. Look, their conference is weak.
I think the A-10 deserves more credit than they get.
I'm not giving it to them. You can. Go ahead.
The A-10 is a very good conference.
There's some other things I noted. There's 3 teams ranked inside the top 25. They have 10-plus losses. And there's 4 teams with 9 losses, Iowa, Ohio State, and Michigan State. with 9 losses.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of that comes with those conferences beat up on each other. Like I said, obviously you just mentioned Big Ten teams. I think 5 losses is leading that conference. I think it's very rare nowadays to find a conference that doesn't have a 5 or 6 loss team that wins it.
I just think if you have this many, you have 3 teams with 10 losses, you have 3 teams with 9 losses. I would say in the past, maybe one of those teams would be ranked 25. Maybe.
How many games do they play in regular season?
Just over 30. Usually 20 wins is a good benchmark. 20 wins, you're probably getting in the tournament.
But you have Iowa with 9 losses and Penn State, who has now 8 losses, ranked inside the top 20.
Yeah, but if you look at the teams they've lost to, I think they're...
Because to me, the quality is just not there. It's just not. Like, the quality of basketball is not there, so you got teams that just...
Yeah, and to me, that's what makes it more exciting this year is...
The unpredictability.
Yeah.
I agree.
March Madness is...
I just feel like
my favorite time of the year.
I mean, I watched some of these games yesterday. I've watched some of the games, and I'm like, this is awful. Like, just the fundamentals there are just terrible. I mean, I'm watching guys miss wide open layups. I mean, how many times I'm like, you have to finish that layup. It wasn't contested. The guy jumped behind you. He didn't even touch the ball, and you missed the layup.
Yeah.
You're 6'8".
Yep. Yeah, so I don't know. And just one last thing in college basketball. So the Carrier Dome is getting renovated.
Brady was there yesterday.
He was with Edelman. Edelman tried to tell everybody he was coming back, and Brady said, nope.
Did he really?
He did.
The rumor is he's going to Buffalo. Someone wrote that he's going to Buffalo, which I get it. I mean,
and Jimmy Fallon was there.
Jimmy Fallon was there. But, I get it. Buffalo, they do need a third-string quarterback.
So
the longer this drags on, the less I think he's going back to New England.
Yeah. So obviously, Carrier Dome, I think they are starting renovations today after the women's game. So as I told my buddy yesterday, Carolina literally took the air out of that dome yesterday.
Oh, boy.
Carolina. Beat Syracuse.
They dominated that game.
What's Syracuse's record right now?
Hey, start to finish. They went in there, and everybody thought, because Carolina's the worst team in the ACC right now, we're going to win this game. We're going to have no issues.
And Syracuse might be the second worst team in the ACC?
They're like 7th right now, which is it's crazy.
It's like the winner of the toilet bowl game.
Yeah.
It's like your last place teams in fantasy football play each other for the last game of the year.
But that's why I'm interested. I think Carolina's they got a decent amount of talent this year, and they're literally going to be the last seed in that ACC tournament. And I don't know if many teams would want if they win their first 2 games, if they get on a roll. I don't know if that's a team you want to see.
That's the only way they're getting into the tournament.
Yeah, they've got to win the ACC, but I think they've got the team to actually do it, put it together.
You seem like a Carolina fan. I don't know why. It's not the shirt.
But I don't know if they will, but I think they've got probably of any team outside the top 4 in that conference, they've got the best chance to win it.
They definitely have to win the ACC to get in. And
there's no doubt.
They probably wouldn't even get an invite to NIT at this point.
So I always wonder that because obviously, like, with can you bring more fans to us? Do we get more money if you're,
It's true.
Syracuse is one of those teams. They probably with the loss yesterday, they're not in the NCAA tournament.
I didn't know they had a shot. They were terrible.
I think they were very outside chance. I don't think they were getting in unless they made a deep run in the ACC. But obviously, Syracuse is a team that the NAT loves to bring in because if they make the Final Four, they're New York City. There's a ton of Syracuse alumni.
Yeah, that's true.
So I always wonder how. Obviously, teams will be upset if Carolina gets in the NIT, and I don't think they deserve to be in there. But it'll be interesting how that all works out and how the NCAA looks at it and who they invite to those tournaments.
It's true. I still feel like this year the quality of college basketball is closer to upper level echelon high school than it is college. I just feel like I'll tell you who I feel bad for is Roy Williams, because you're at a program who is very predominantly a basketball program, and you're having the worst season I've ever seen. I can't tell you the last time Carolina didn't make the tournament.
8 years ago. 9 years ago. The year after they won the national title in 2009. They missed it in 10.
Okay, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
But they probably still had a better record then than they did this year.
Well, they were. I think it's relatively close.
Probably
Obviously, not as bad of an ACC record. That's why they're struggling. But
anything else you want to add to college basketball other than the debacle you watched yesterday?
No.
Russ is just cheering for his squares. He's just waiting.
Yeah.
I don't blame you. You don't have to watch the game. You just gotta.
I just got to win money.
It'll come out after we get back from Myrtle.
You still want to go to the casino? And
Sure.
just bet on games?
Sure.
Okay.
There's other games for him to bet on. He's good.
Yeah, that's true. I usually watch 3 college basketball games a year, the 2 in the Final Four and the national championship. That's about as much as I know about it. So,
Is it over under time?
I'm ready. Are you guys ready for it?
sure.
I've been ready since I don't know, last week.
So, little background here. So, we mentioned earlier we're going to Myrtle Beach. So, Adam and myself and then 2 other folks, 4 of us are driving down Tuesday night. We're golfing Wednesday through Sunday, so 5 rounds. We're staying at the Legends Resort just outside of Myrtle Beach. They own 5 golf courses, so we're playing each one once. I personally have played 4 of them. The other 2 guys have played. One of them's played all 4. One of them's played 3. So there is a course that none of us have seen. Your first time going, so you haven't seen
I
any of
haven't
them.
seen any of them.
Before we go further, I want Russ to give a shirt update to the crowd. What do you got going on there?
Oh, we've got Matt Foley,
Motivation.
motivational speaker. Not at all sports related, but Chris Farley, one of my favorite actor comedians.
I might need to
Unfortunately,
get one of those shirts.
gone way too soon.
Yeah.
So yes, sir.
He was supposed to be Shrek, by the way.
So I got a couple over-unders. I think we got 5. I might throw a 6th one in there just to throw it in. So the first one, obviously, PGA Superstore we got down there.
I need to write this down.
There's been a lot of talk on how much I'm going to spend at the PGA Superstore.
Yes.
So the first over-under is dollars spent. We're going to do not including tax, just actual item
Okay.
amount. Over-under $649.99. I'm not going to weigh in on any of these because I could have some.
$49.99.
I could have some persuasion on these, so I'm not going to.
$649, not $699.
$649.
$649.99.
And I did some research, so that's how I came up with my number.
Of things you might buy?
Correct.
Because you have things I've seen mine.
Yeah.
So you don't. All right. You don't have this mapped out.
No.
This is what I'm buying.
No.
Okay.
We have things
You
in
have
I have
mind.
things in mind.
You're
Okay.
definitely going to look at things you're probably going to buy, and then whatever else you see.
Right.
Just for fun, I'm going to take the over on that.
I'm also taking the over.
Russ is just going to try to persuade. That's all he's looking
Well,
for.
that's part of the reason I'm taking the over. The other is I've never been to one of these stores, but I can only imagine what it's like. You're going to see stuff in there like, man, I really need that.
So these stores, we're in a relatively small town. We do have a Dick's Sporting Goods up the road, and I keep telling him that our Dick's Sporting Goods, this PJ Superstore, is about the size of our Dick's Sporting Goods, except it is 100% golf.
Just golf.
Yeah. At the PJ Superstore, the section of just golf balls is about as big as the entire golf section down here. So he's already laughing. I'm loving this. I'm hammering the over on this.
I'm over. Take my money. Where is
all
it?
right. So our second one is lost golf balls.
Okay. All right.
So I had trouble figuring out a number for this. I'm going with 12.5.
Over.
This is total for all 5 rounds.
5 rounds.
Over.
See, if you both choose the over, that's just extra motivation to just hit pitching wedge every tee shot.
You won't, though. It'll ruin the experience.
Not if you have a score related over under.
That's true. I do.
See. I'm gonna also hammer the over on that one.
What would a number have been that you guys would have been like really contemplating?
20.
My initial was 18.5, and I was like, that seemed really high.
So, as I said, 1 course I have not played, and 4 that I have.
I think that's the one I'm second worried about. Is the one no one's played.
Yeah. So
At least the other ones, you guys can give me some guidance on what I can do.
I'm
what
also
I can
factoring
do.
the fact you probably haven't swung a golf club since October.
we
the latest.
We get free range balls. I might just hit the range
That's true.
all Wednesday morning.
they're
Wake up and there's gonna be a guy out there holding the light for him.
our home course, Indian Hills. The range down there at Legends is probably half the size of Indian Hills golf course. I mean, it's this massive horseshoe. You could probably fit.
Oh, at the golf course. I thought you meant at the driving range. I was like, that's small. But the whole
Range.
course. Yeah, the range
The
is
Legends range probably sits on half the Indian Hills property.
I'm pumped.
Yeah, so Legends Moreland, for your reference, he already knows this, It was a while ago. I think it was like 2010. But Legends Moreland was in the top 10 Golf Digest hardest golf courses in America.
You guys are playing that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
25 balls then.
You want me to?
Oyster Bay.
What is your guys' guess on number of golf balls as well that I lose?
I thought that's what we were talking about.
Well, yeah, but do you guys have, obviously you both hammered the over hard on 12.5.
So I got to pick a total number of golf balls.
What's your number?
I'm going to go 26.
I might need to buy some more balls.
I'm going to write that down. 26 golf.
I'm definitely going to buy balls.
I think you lose. I think your 12.5 is going to be close for Moreland and Oyster Bay.
Oh, boy.
And that still leaves 3 golf courses.
My 26 is low. Listen, I hear they sell not refurbed, but blemmed Pro V1s.
Oh.
Snag some of those while you're there.
By the time
That's where Russ gets his. That's where I'm going.
By the time the last round rolls around, he's going to be playing like top flights and pinnacles.
So I asked you yesterday, I'm like, can you pick me up some of those balls while you're down there?
Nope.
You're going to come home with like half and be like, Adam had to break into them.
Yeah, here's 3 sleeves. Adam owes you for a dozen.
Yeah, he's just going
and
to
a
buy you.
sleeve.
He's going to buy you regular Pro Vs.
Oh boy.
All right, my next one is total score of the 5 rounds.
Total score of the 5 rounds.
I
was thinking mentally in like an average score of the 5 rounds, but we could go total.
So I have this 72.5 over par combined 5 rounds.
Oh, you're going actual over par.
Yeah.
Which
is about almost 15 over par average per round.
Okay,
so Russ has an advantage here because he obviously knows what he's shot there.
And you haven't swung a golf club since October.
Right.
It's March 1st. 72 over. I'm plugging in. I'm going to keep these to myself, or at least not keeping Adam.
What do you got?
Oyster Bay.
Okay.
Okay. Legends Moreland. We're going that.
So I know some of the scores
Over par.
Russ has shot down there, so I tried to figure that in a little bit. But
so there's my number over par for Moreland and
for
Oyster
2
Bay.
courses.
Moreland and Oyster
Taking
Bay.
me over.
72. So that leaves that many strokes for the last 3.
All right, I'm going to go with the over.
Yeah, I'm taking the over.
Taking the over, and I'm going to say your actual over par is 121.
121.
I'm loving this.
You guys are making me. I don't know. This is just extra motivation.
What was your number?
72.5.
Do you want
2.5? I'm going to take the over.
We'll send you a link to TGW if you need to order more balls.
I'm just going to do an average. That minus par times 3 plus the number I just showed you.
I'm hoping I get lucky at one course and shoot like 80.
I'm taking 101 over par total.
I like Russ better.
You haven't swung a golf club since October. You're going to lay the sod over the first wedge you hit.
All right.
Whether it's on the range or the golf course.
I'll take that bet. I'll take blade 30 yards long.
Yeah. And then once he chunks a few, he's going to stand up on one. It's going to end up in a gator pit.
All right. This next one is ungolf related. On the drive down and the way back, how many Slim Jims will I eat?
Total Slim Jims?
Yep. Total Slim. I got one right here.
I know you do.
Just for motivation.
We need a number, or you got an over-under?
6.5.
We are on a sports podcast, and I'm writing down in my notebook, Slim Jims eaten.
Slim Jims. But if they knew Adam, this is a legit over-under.
6.5.
The one that he's unwrapping
I can't get unwrapped.
Is not the first one he's had since we've been
That's
here.
why he can't
There's an empty wrapper over there.
That's because he can't get his fingers are too greasy from eating the first one.
Over under 6.5
total Slim Jims
for both trips.
Just the drive
down
and back.
Which is
6.5
for reference is about 22 hours in a vehicle.
You're gonna have 6 before you hit Virginia border.
I mean, I'm gonna have other snacks, but Slim Jims.
Yeah, I'm going.
I already know the answer on this
Over.
because I'm headed to Walmart after this to buy some snacks.
We'll be stopping it at least 6 to 8 times at gas stations.
Right. You can go to Walmart now, but they'll get you through PA.
When he's already eaten 4 of them between here and our first stop,
Yeah.
and we go into the gas station, and there they are, the display.
I'm taking the over.
I'll take the over.
And I'm going to go 6 down, 6 back for 12.
I like this.
We're talking full size Slim Jims,
full
right?
size.
Okay, yeah.
I
12.
don't buy those little snack ones because I eat a whole box of those in no time.
I bet you do. All right, what's the other one? What else you got?
All right, this one is less than over under. Who's going to win more rounds, Russ or I, of the 5? So obviously Russ has the advantage playing 4
Yeah, I was
of
going
these
to say,
courses.
Russ has played 4 of these courses.
That's more motivation for me.
I'm going to have to say Russ. I mean, he's played the course.
I'm going with me. I like this. This will put a little pressure on me.
He doesn't want to lose this now.
No.
You guys going to have a camera on you to film some of this stuff?
Yeah, we'll both have our phones. We'll be taking some videos.
We'll film some.
How many videos you take, you send it to me, I'll try to compile and throw it up on the...
All right.
Yep. Are we putting any money on that?
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, we can definitely.
So we
put
can do a
money.
couple things.
You'll
here,
bet
right?
you 4 Slim Jims.
Yeah, if you win, I'll buy a case of Slim Jims. So we could do, I guess we could just do that, win the most rounds. Or I was thinking we could have done like
Differential.
average score of the 5 rounds. Whose average score?
All right.
Would be
Yeah,
better.
we can figure it
We'll
out.
talk about that. We'll put a small wager on
We got
it.
12 hours to figure it out in the car.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, and then the last one. This one I kind of number of balls lost versus items purchased the entire trip. That's not just Superstore, at the courses as well.
So I have you losing 26 golf balls.
I didn't think about that. So this bet's just the PGA
That's just the
Superstore
Superstore.
over and under.
Right.
That doesn't include the Legends Pro Shop.
So I have you losing 26 golf balls. I'm going to take the under of things purchased.
So you think balls lost will be more?
Yes.
Items purchased.
Wait.
Number of balls lost
So
versus items.
Do balls purchased count as?
Well, at the Superstore it will.
So if you
But
if you buy 4 dozen balls, that's 4 items.
Correct.
I'm still going to take the under.
I'm gonna take the under on that also. You're
going to take balls versus items purchased.
you'll have more balls lost than items purchased.
Are you taking your credit card?
Of course.
Oh, okay.
Items purchased
Straight cash, homie.
versus
Cash, homie.
balls lost. I'm gonna take items purchased will be less.
Less than balls lost. That'd be an interesting one.
Yeah.
I hope you guys are ready for it. And we're going to reveal. We're not going to items even purchased at Super. We're going to wait to reveal that.
What day's your
when we
first
get
round?
back.
Wednesday.
You're playing Wednesday.
Wednesday afternoon.
So can I get updates?
What do you want updates on?
Just progress.
All right. We're not going to update you on items purchased.
That's fine.
We're going
But
to leave that in.
some of this other stuff, throw me an update.
I mean, if we get into town Wednesday morning, go to the Superstore and you spend $1,000, I can let them know we're already over.
Oh, hell yeah.
And we haven't even teed up a ball yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you'll definitely get some progress on the at least the golf rounds.
Because I got an 8-hour trip to Columbus on Thursday, so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You'll be ready. I might have the over on Slim Jims by the time we get down there. We don't know.
Yeah.
I said 12. You
I
said
know.
6. You're going to have 6 on the way down.
Yeah.
Because you can't buy just one. You'll walk in a gas station.
Well, yeah, you got
You'll
to buy the double pack.
Like I said.
It's cheaper that way.
Jesus.
You're confirming our
Right.
suspicions here.
Your skin looks oily, like it's oozing Slim Jim.
Is that a new cologne?
Yeah.
Nope, just Slim Jim
No,
grease.
it's Tabasco. All right, you guys ready for 3 stars? You got more over-unders.
I'm ready.
All right, so we're going to do 3 stars again. We started this last week, and I actually liked it. I don't know how the idea popped in, but.
I thought it was a good segment.
So go ahead. I'll let you guys start with your first star.
All right. Go for it, Russ.
All right, I'll go first this week. 3rd star. This is, I've got a positive and a negative about this, but I'm going to give a shout out to Tony Romo. So Tony Romo has been
Congrats to him.
NFL football analyst on CBS for quite a while now. He just signed a new deal with CBS that will pay him $17 million per year. So it sounds like that deal is guaranteed for 3 years. After 3 years must be when CBS's deal with the NFL contract is up. And if CBS and the NFL agree to a new deal, automatically kicks in Romo's deal to be 10 years total.
Holy smokes. Wow.
So this will either be 3 years or 10 years at 17
He's
million
not a bad
season.
announcer.
No, he's actually quite good at it.
Yeah.
One number that stuck out at me. So for next season, 2020, there are only 19 players that will make more money than Romo.
And obviously, players have spoke out.
Is that why was it OBJ that said he's going to make more
I
money?
think Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas was the big one.
Thomas
He actually thanked CBS because there's been some talk about the CBA deal, the collective bargaining agreement, and Michael Thomas thanked them. He said, "Thank you. There's no way an announcer should be making more money than all the players." So this is just further confirmation why we said no to the first deal.
Yep.
So, and basically, I wrote down very good for Romo, but it's pretty ridiculous for an announcer to be making that.
17 million. Like I can understand like $1 million, two,
hey,
maybe 5.
Hey, you can't knock the
and
guy.
it's only 17 weeks. Well, plus playoffs. So 20 games he's announcing.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus, man.
You can't knock the guy. I mean, if you can get paid, good for him, man. So Tony Romo.
He'd be a bigger idiot if he said no.
Yeah, no doubt.
So my third star is David Ayers, the E-Bug, the emergency backup goalie in Toronto. Came in to play for Carolina after 2 goalies went down injured.
Yep.
42-year-old Zamboni driver in Toronto. Came in, got the win. I think he let his first 2 shots in, but he settled down.
Yeah.
Got the win. So congrats to him. And I did hear that I think he was supposed to make $500 for it, but I heard he didn't make any money.
I saw a picture of the contract.
Yeah, so
it's an internship. Is that what they put it? Is an internship or?
I don't know how they were.
Oh no,
I may be mentioning this again later.
Yeah,
but yeah, you have to sign a contract in order to step on the ice. Supposed to pay him $500, which apparently he turned down. But I'm debating how far to go into this because I may have him on my list also. Okay. But the rumor was that the players in the Carolina locker rooms basically emptied their pockets and gave him cash that'll not be on the books. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Good for them.
My third star is Mason Saunders. Do you guys know who that is?
I do not know.
Actually, you do. It's Madison Bumgarner.
Oh.
He
okay. Is that his real name?
His wife. There's a name that he made up. His wife would call him that in public.
Oh, okay.
Because if she called him Mason, then people wouldn't really recognize who he was.
Yeah, okay.
But back in December, he won $26,000 in a team rodeo roping contest. He's into rodeos, and nobody knew about it. And he had this fake name that he was competing under, and nobody knew who he was. And then his picture popped up on social media, like Facebook or something, and people were like, "Wait a minute, that's Madison Bumgarner. That's not Mason Saunders." And then he finally came out and just like, "Yeah, it's something I've been doing for a while." He's been doing it since he was a kid.
Yeah, he's a big farmer. Everything.
So he's been roping since he was like a teenager, and he won a big event back in December, and they just published the pictures, and people realized who it was. So, cool. Congrats, Madison, on your 26K that you probably don't need.
Yeah, no,
but it's pretty cool that you've been doing it for that long and nobody knew.
All right, second star. Ironically, the second week in a row I have an Ottawa Senator here, but tug on the sentimental strings here a little bit. So Senators forward Bobby Ryan. In October, this was got to be tough to do in the public limelight. He took a leave of absence from the team to enter the NHL's player assistance program. He was struggling with alcohol abuse. That's not easy for anyone to do, but
admit to it.
But when you're in you're a public figure, and the media is going to know everything you do. It's got to be even harder. He completed that program. He returned last Tuesday, 25th. His first home game was Thursday, the 27th, and that was ironically his 100 days sober, and he scored a hat trick in that
awesome.
game. So it was
good for him, man.
Pretty cool sight to see up in Ottawa this week. So good for him.
My second star is Ovechkin, guy we talked about last week, getting 700 goals, 8th player to do it. So
second star, huh?
Yep.
I would have lost that bet.
We had enough on the table right now.
So yeah, cool.
My second star was recent. We're gonna go with Michael Turk. He's the Arizona State punter who repped out 25 reps at 225 at the combine. The previous record held by a punter was Trevor Daniel. He played at Tennessee. He played for the Texans back in the early 2000s. He did 23. Some notable names he beat out. Jadeveon Clowney did 21 reps. DeMarcus Lawrence, 20 reps. Chandler Jones, 22. Michael Bennett did 24. The record is actually Justin Ernest. In 1999, did 51 reps at 225.
That's insane.
And
That's a Tuesday night.
the highest since then is a Buffalo Bill. Harrison Phillips did 42 in 2018. So, yeah, props to a punter.
Yeah.
Who I think it's kind of funny because scouts go to these combines and they literally look at stats like bench press and Joe Burrow's hand size. And that's literally, I mean, if it wasn't Joe Burrow, like you and I were talking, or Jamie and I were talking last night, if it wasn't Joe Burrow, there's scouts out there be like, this guy's hands are too small.
Yep.
He's out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So props to the punter for kicking everybody's ass in the bench press.
That's crazy. First star of the week. So Adam already mentioned David Ayers, the emergency backup goalie. So he is, as you said, 42. Currently the operations manager at the arena where the Toronto Marlies play, which is the Maple Leafs AHL team. He has done some maintenance and driving of the Zamboni, which is where he got this moniker of the Zamboni driver. So, yeah, he entered the game last Saturday. As Adam said, he led in the first 2 shots, but he did end up with 8 saves on 10 shots in 28 minutes, 41 seconds, which is almost half the game. And the fact that Toronto didn't win this game is extremely embarrassing.
I think a lot of people are wondering, like, he's obviously probably a Toronto fan. Like, and they're obviously in a playoff race. But like, why didn't he just let them win?
He did. He let the first 2 win. So I got a question. I obviously heard the story, and I knew about the whole Zamboni driver. So I thought they were in Carolina, and he worked there.
No, they were in Toronto.
So they're in Toronto. He played for the other team.
Yeah. So
he's got to have some background as a goalie.
Oh yeah, he does. So that's probably a little known fact. Every NHL game, we're sitting here watching one right now between Philly and New York. Every NHL game, the home team is required to provide a person who could play an emergency goalie role.
Oh, really?
Every single game, there is a person there. So a lot of NHL teams, goalies will get like the equivalent of like a maintenance day at practice if they've played 2 games in a row, and then you have a practice the next day. So teams usually have a guy like this who works at the arena, has experience as a goalie, and then he'll go out on the ice and actually practice with the teams. So in Toronto, like we said, he runs a Zamboni and stuff like that. He has goalie experience. So anytime the Marlies or the Maple Leafs need a goalie for their practice, he'll go out and actually practice.
Oh, okay. And I think, so that happened Saturday night. Sunday, NBC interviewed him during the game, and he had just come off the ice from a skate.
Yeah.
So he was out there practicing.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I'm just curious how that conversation goes. We got a guy in the back. He could probably play goalie for you.
He said he was standing. He didn't even know the second goalie got hurt because the first guy got hurt. So they called him and said, "Hey, we need you to get dressed." Yep. So he went down, and he got hurt while he was getting dressed.
Yeah. So every NHL game has an emergency goalie there, and like he just said, if a starting goalie gets hurt and they know he won't return, the backup goes in, and usually the emergency goalie at that time will go down and start getting dressed in case something happens.
And they call him an E-bug.
Yep, emergency backup goalie. He is the first E-bug to win a game in NHL history.
That's awesome.
So,
and I heard Tops or Upper Deck made a card for him.
Yeah,
they did. He's also he's had a kidney transplant. So Carolina, and that goalie, to answer your question, that goalie can play for either team in the game. So that's why in this case he just happened to end up playing for the visiting team. Carolina flew him down there a couple days later. They made T-shirt jerseys with his name on them. They were selling them in Carolina with part of the proceeds going to a kidney foundation in honor of his transplant.
That's awesome.
And then a good chunk of the money was actually going to him. So
a feel-good story in sports, and then opposed to other things.
You want to go next?
No, go ahead.
So my first start is Sabrina Ionescu.
I know who this is. Yeah.
She plays for the University of Oregon. Yep. She's the first Division I male or female athlete in a career to have 2,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, and 1,000 assists, which is pretty crazy when you think about it.
And she also completed this the same day she spoke at Kobe Bryant's ceremony.
Yeah, they flew her down. She spoke at Kobe's. I think she went to his academy.
I think she might have went to the academy, or somehow he became a mentor.
Yep.
Because I looked up the connection, and the first time that they met was he showed up at a game with his daughter.
Right.
Oh.
Yep.
Just showed up.
Sorry, guy just took a slap shot right to the head.
Oh, he'll be all right.
But anyways.
Yeah, he showed up with his daughter, and she's like, I remember him walking in the gym. I was like, holy shit, it's Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
And then he went in the locker room after the game, and they talked, and it kind of like blossomed from there. So, yeah, that was cool.
So when you think, I tried to look up some guys that potentially, but there's guys that, points, if a guy stayed 4 years, like, he's going to get 2,000. But I don't think 1,000 rebounds and 1,000 assists is crazy in today's game.
That's pretty good
for a college player in 4 years.
Yep, that's awesome. I almost think I wrote her down at one point. I forgot to write her down. But my last star of the week is Victor Hovland, who rolled in a 25-footer on the 72nd hole of the tournament to win for his first PGA Tour event. Almost blew it. Get like a three or four shot lead in the middle there, and he like tripled 11.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you and I talked about this yesterday. Like the Matt Wolfs, the Victor Hovlands, the Colin Morikawas.
Yeah.
Those guys continue an upward rise. Yeah. I honestly thought Hovland would win all before those guys. Yeah. But I'm glad he won for a couple of reasons. One, I really like the kid. He's great. He won over $600,000. You and I talked about this in the fall. Yeah. He won over $600,000 last year after he turned pro.
Yep.
He got screwed out of $226K that he would have got at the U.S. Open. But if he would have turned pro, he would have lost his exemption. They've since changed that rule. It's pretty much the Victor Hovland rule. And because he didn't get that money, he didn't earn his tour card because it's now based off FedEx Cup points, not money earned.
Yep.
And he didn't earn enough technically FedEx Cup points.
Yeah, because you have top 125.
Correct. So. If you would have taken that money, if you would have taken the $600K plus the money he would have won the U.S. Open, they gave it to him, he would have been like 140 on the money list.
Oh, yeah.
Which is for 7 starts or 8.
Season.
Yeah. And now you got a kid, he had to go to, he played Corn Ferry the last 3 events, earned a card, kind of like feel good story. The guy went out and just earned it, then he won. So good for him, man. He deserves to be out there for sure.
Yep. And then he a little hungover this week, maybe.
I think so.
Missed the cut.
I got to tell you, if that was me, I would come out and be like, man, I got hammered on Sunday night.
I did see a picture, or video of him like laying in bed, and he just looked absolutely hammered.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'd be smoked too.
I mean, you can't feel, I think, so 4 big names that obviously missed the cut: Hovland, Koepka, Fowler, and Rose this week. Obviously, that's a tough course they're playing at. So
it is.
It's hard. I think there's only 13 going in today. There's only 13 guys under par.
What was leading after the end of the day? It was like 5 or 6 under.
Fleetwood's at 5.
I had that written down.
That's crazy.
Fleetwood at 5, Brendan Steele at 4 under, and then Donald and Westwood were 3 under.
Which, by the way, I know you guys. I don't know if you're big fans, but Ricky Fowler, love the kid.
Yeah.
And Rupert had the best description I've ever heard of him the other day. He said he's the modern day Fred Couples.
Yeah.
He is. He's got that just personality. He's just happy-go-lucky. Yeah. Great for the game. Fowler to win the Masters, calling it now.
I didn't put money on him. Do I need to run down?
You should probably drive. It's quite the run. That's all I have, boys.
Maybe we can go the opposite way to Myrtle. We can stop on the way down.
You'll be at Del Lago before then.
That's true. Yeah. I didn't see the odds have changed really much for the Masters when I looked yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't check those at all.
So, well, that's all I have, boys. That was a good podcast.
Yeah.
You guys have anything?
Nope. No. Well, actually, one quick thing. Okay. Combine. Did you guys see the offensive lineman?
6'7", like 340.
The smoothie he made.
Oh, yeah.
So
yes.
I'm looking at. I was like, so that wasn't the original one that he did. I think that one he had grits, bananas, peanut butter, scrambled eggs, and red Gatorade. He said it had to be red.
Yeah.
But the original one he did had a tub of cottage cheese in it.
An entire tub.
A large tub of cottage cheese.
I thought smoothies were supposed to be healthy.
I'm like,
yeah, really.
He came in as a tight end, I guess, and so he was trying to become a lineman. They called him
tight end to offensive line. So he gained. It was like 75 pounds he needed to gain or something.
Oh my God, that can't be.
I saw them making that. I'm like, that just. Obviously, I don't like peanut butter, but I was like, that just.
I thought you were going to talk about the lineman that ran like the 5'1".
Yeah.
He was flying.
Yeah, it was like 6'7", like
350 pounds or something.
Guy's moving. All right, boys, we'll have fun in Myrtle.
Yeah.
I'll have fun in Columbus.
Have fun here.
I'll be in Columbus.
Well, up in the northern.
No, it'd be
Weather.
freezing. I did look. It's supposed to be like 50 the one day, but who cares? But
It's not bad.
have fun in Myrtle.
Yeah.
And then I'll see you guys and everybody else on the 10th.
Sounds good.
We'll
be
have
here.
lots to talk about. I cannot
We will.
wait.
Yeah.
We might just talk about golf again.
We might.